A recent study published in the Journal of Pediatrics is looking at the relationship between lack of independent playtime and the mental health crises that our adolescents are facing today. This is one of many research papers looking at the vital need for our children to have time and space to do that simple, magical, very important thing of playing. Today we are talking about how to pick up our baton as a defender of play. Whether you are new to working with children, or whether you have been working within education centers or therapeutic contexts for years, I'm sure you already have a picture of the need to defend play, of the landscape of how play is in our current society. The world has changed a lot in the last 10 or 15 years. We have a generation of children that are exposed to way more screen time and way more overscheduling than we have had before. And this is causing a huge decline in the amount of movement that our children get and the amount of play that they get. We as the people that work with our children, and really this is across professions, as educators, as people working in the administration of schools and early childhood development centers, as therapists, as really anyone in early intervention, anyone that is touching base with a parent, we often forget that we are their first point of contact. I've heard recently of doctors prescribing play, and I think that as the people that are often the first contact point with our children, before there's a need for a referral around development, before there's any need for mental health referrals, we are the people that parents are coming into contact with in terms of getting the services that they need for their children. So we, as those people, need to be picking up this role as being defenders of play, because it's not just for our children that have delays, it is for all children that this epidemic of not enough play is just so present in our society. When we look at the play landscape at the moment, we know that not only are most children not getting enough movement, not enough outdoor time, and not enough play, but there are also specific skills within different types of play. We know from like the ages of 1 until 4, there are certain types of play that children just don't have enough exposure to, whether it be social play or outdoor play. And then as our children get older, from 4 and up, we know that there is a definite lack of card game play, of board game play, and all of these interactive ways that seem so simple, and we just so easily presume that they are part of our children's lives. But without them, our children are lacking the ability to build really important skills. So today we're talking about how we can be the ultimate influencer, how we, as that first point of contact that parents and children are coming into contact with, how we can be defenders of play, how we can make steps and influence that our children's daily experience, their day-to-day life, would be richly full of play. I want to remind you that often when we are coming into contact with children, it's not necessarily for the next 5 or 6 years. It's for a window of time. But the influence that we have on the child, what the child seeks out, as well as on the parent, what the parent understands about what is important for children, child development, how children thrive, what they should be pushing towards, our influence has a long-lasting effect, not only on the season of our child's life or the window of time that they're with us, but really for the span of their life. So when it comes to influencing play, and I'm sure if you clicked on this video and you want to be a defender of play, you're already on board. So let's talk about how we can do this. Often we think of, okay, I'm going to help families with this, and we build these big kind of structures and plans, and they don't always fall into place. And we know wherever we're coming into contact with parents, we often also have a lot of other roles that we're trying to fulfill, not just supporting our children and playing more. So I want to give you some tips and ideas for how you can just drip in little ideas and hints and educational mottos for your families and for the children that you work with. So often when we work with children, we can kind of feel like we have limited influence. It feels like this is home. This is what happens at home. And this is what happens either in therapy or at school or wherever you are that you're working with children. And it can feel like there's a great divide, like your influence is only over here and that it will only be for this window of time that you're with children. But I want you to think about your influence being almost like these strings, these small strings, not huge projects, not something that's overly complicated or interfering with a child's life, but it's strings that connect. You send them out from wherever you're working with children to the place where they are living, to their family or their home. As we send out these strings, these little drops of influence that we have, what we hope is that they come into the glass of home. This is the glass that's going to be with our children for the whole of their childhood, not for just this window and not for short windows of time, but the whole of their childhood. And we hope that these little seeds that we have dropped in about the importance of play travel all the way through. Now, I'm hoping this experiment works, because what it is supposed to do is drop this in and change the color of the water. So what we hope to do is that these strings that we send out as we connect to our child's outer world, outside of the place that we are based, our center, our school, that we are dripping in the importance of play for their whole life. Now, as we wait for this, I hope we're going to see some color change. Let's talk about 3 ways that we can start to do this. The one thing is to make note of play, notice it and talk about it. And this is in every single aspect that we are interacting with our parents and also with our children. Again, this is not a huge project. This is not a side project. This isn't the things that you're already doing. So think about your intake forms or your intake discussions. Think about your initial assessment discussions. Think about your history review of children, whether you're doing that or not. We want to be mentioning play in any reports that we write and any feedback that we give. Now, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Sending a photo home to a family about something that the child did that was play-based, or some way that they interacted in social play or independent play, it really is the small drip that really puts influence and puts importance on the work that the child is doing while they are playing. The next way is to ask about play. We ask our families so many questions. How was the holiday? We do about me posters when we're talking about our children. We ask history about our child's life and their upbringing and their birth and all of these things. All of these times that we are asking about our children, let's ask about play as well. Play is kind of like an identity. I had one of my children say the other day, I'm a builder. And he's 6. So it's not like he's, had a huge amount of opportunity to be building outside of play. And in him, that is part of his identity, that he is a builder, because that is something that he has formulated in play. So the more we can also be again, transferring with these strings that identity of who the child is as a player, the things that they go to. And it doesn't have to be something that's closed or is a label that's always on them, especially we want it to be something that's more positive, but it's something that they can know that they like, that you're calling out something that you see within the child. Then there are a lot of more structured ways that we can start to do this as well, whether it be home programs that we are maybe saying a couple of ideas for exercises, but then adding in there, let them extend the play, let them take this exercise and transform it as they wish to. Whether it is project-based learning, we had something like this recently with my child that is in preschool, where they did a project on birds. And initially, I have to say, I was like a little bit skeptic, like this, these are like 4-year-olds. It's going to be the parents doing it and the children, rating each other according to the parents' work. But actually what happened is that because they each brought something really different, somebody brought their own bird, like caged bird, somebody, we built nests, other people did like video information things, and the children really remembered it because it was something that they felt like was from the child's voice. So amazingly, there was so much that our family actually gained from that experience of doing that project-based learning. And that's another way that we can also start introducing play. We can have projects that the project isn't necessarily just a poster, but it can be a game that they create or how they interact with a certain material. I also love the idea of sending home small ideas, whether it's the actual physical product or a photo of something that can go onto a child's play shelf. And that can really be as simple as like a punnet basket of mushrooms with some pegs around it that a child can peg and unpeg and then learn that they can use pegs and go peg things around their house. So in these 3 simple ways, we can start to send our strings of influence over to our families and have a ripple effect across their lifespan that does show that play is important, that prioritizes play and really emphasizes its importance in development. Now, of course, our big aim is also that our children play independently when they are home. And if you want to know more about independent play, in this video that's on your screen now, I'm sharing one of my biggest tips that I've never heard anyone else talk about, all about independent play. And I will see you over there.